150,000 people took to the streets of London over the weekend for that Unite the Kingdom march, which, of course, was led by the far-right convict Tommy Robinson.
The protest, which was initially billed as a demonstration in support of free speech, saw Elon Musk address crowds to advocate a change of government, as well as calling on supporters to, in his words, fight back or die on immigration issues. In a moment, we'll be speaking to Baroness Gohir, who has written a letter to the Home Secretary calling on the government to publicly condemn all racially and religiously motivated violence and abuse, introduce a new all-encompassing hate crime act, and increase funding for services that help Muslims report safety concerns. And she joins us now alongside Matthew Collins from Hope Not Hate, a former senior member of the National Front. You've got a sort of sheepish smile on your face, Matthew. What made you change your ways?
Basically, having to listen to grifters like those two you just had on screen, telling me how terrible other people are and how better my life would be if we could get rid of all these immigrants. Look, I was in the A&E last week for 9.5 hours. If Stephen Lennon, because that's his real name, came in and said to me, do you want to go on a protest about the NHS to demand more hospitals and more doctors, I'd have gone on it. Instead, he's got 150,000 people out demanding more flags and to deport people. We need more people, we need more doctors, we don't need more flags and racists. What
about the definition of the protest? 150,000 people of all sorts, turned up as a far-right demonstration. Would you accept that that is a reasonable carapace to describe it?
Yeah. Yes.
I think there's going to be a diverse number of people there. I think there will be far-right elements in there. But I think there will be also ordinary citizens, working-class citizens, who I think have been ignored by successive governments who have not been listened to. But they need more money in their pockets. They need to be taken out of poverty. They need to be given jobs. Unfortunately, there are people who are very good at delivering rhetoric, who are getting them to focus on the wrong issues, such as immigration. Now, immigration is an issue. That's also
a huge issue.
A concern for minority ethnic communities as well. But the debate has become so toxic that you should be able to have an informed and constructive debate without making people feel unsafe, whether they've been here for a few minutes or whether there are long-established diaspora communities and British-born communities.
What you seem to be saying is that you get this kind of demonstration with all its mixed elements when people feel they're not being listened to. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I do think people need to feel listened to, but they don't need flags to do that. We can have debate. British have a different way of doing things. Unfortunately, we have Americans interfering in our democracy. And when they sort of make, comments like that, which are inappropriate, they're trying to just cause division.
This is just talking about Elon Musk.
Exactly.
Fight back or die.
Yeah. Exactly. So you've got to think, what is the coded message there? It is deeply, deeply worrying. I was speaking to a group of women last week from Yorkshire who came to see me in Parliament. They said they've never felt so intimidated before. They go out now, they are regularly harassed by passers-by, by people driving by, on transport, not just verbally being abused, photographed and being filmed without permission. And people are worried about the elderly parents going out, children going to school. Even my children, adults, they check upon me saying, Mum, have you got to where you're supposed to go? It's such anxiety. There's 4 million Muslims in Britain. It's the largest minority community. And we are deeply, deeply worried about our safety. And the government, and the reason why I wrote the letter is the deafening and dangerous silence from government. Now, I know Keir Starmer said something yesterday about time. To be fair to Shabana Mahmood, she's just got into the role, but she can now set a tone that public safety matters regardless of who you are.
Why did you chuckle when she made her comment about rallying around the flag?
Do you know, I love during the World Cup and the European Championships, and we had the Olympics, the flags were fantastic. And it did brighten up the place. But they'll just get wet, they'll get rained on, they'll get tatty, and we'll just go back. We'll go back to how it is. The country's in, I would say, a kind of very deep, dark despair. And if you want to make your neighbourhood better, buy a stranger a cup of tea. Go to the library and help there. Putting up flags isn't going to deal with the issues. And some of these people don't actually know what is wrong. They just feel there's something wrong. They're detached from the political process. since Brexit. You know, this all started at Brexit, when people said things about this country, what it could be and what it was. And it's been none of them. And so now we're at the point, and yeah, understandable anger, disappointment, people, you know, a deindustrialised country where people don't feel they have worth or meaning, and people are saying, oh, we'll put up a flag, it'll all be better. We don't want the government to wave flags in return and say, oh, we too like flags. They're delivering good stuff. Employment Rights Bill is going through, excuse me, which some people won't like, which will give better rights to workers. But people like Reform, Tommy Robinson, they're not in favour of better rights for workers. If we have better rights in the workplace for men and women, people of colour, it will be better. These people don't campaign for the NHS. We've never had a march that big and angry for the NHS. Why not, if they care? Why not? Instead, we have marches waving flags and demanding people they've never met and they'll never know can't come here.
Let's go here. The Prime Minister seems at a loss to know how to deal with the issue of immigration. Because on the one hand, he came to power saying he was going to smash the gangs, and yet the rate of illegal immigration, certainly in the boats, has in no way stopped. And it's become such a symbolic issue for those who are anti-immigration to focus on the boats. It's a really inflammatory issue. And then he did a speech saying we're at risk of becoming an island of strangers, which seemed to play into this very divisive narrative. What would you say? Because he has to unite people who, as you say, put aside the far right, but he has to unite the people who might say, I'm on the march because, as you acknowledge, I'm concerned about immigration, and no one else is speaking for me in a way that publicly says that. How does the Prime Minister tackle that issue constructively, positively and effectively?
People do not want slogans like stop the boats and smash the gangs. What they want is to be listened to, but actual action. And it's not just about illegal migrants on boats. It's also actually legal migration that we need to consider as well, because, for example, on our helpline, we'll get hardship cases, so you get to sort of find out, you know, what's going on. And I think what we need to do is sit down and have conversations around the country by everybody, not just by the white working class. Different diverse groups on immigration. I think it's absolutely fine to be tough on immigration, but also be tough on racism and anti-Muslim hatred. And I think the Prime Minister sometimes, on a lot of issues, not just this one, is very, very slow to react. He's very reactionary. What I'd like the Prime Minister to be is proactive and know what the issues are and sit down and have these. I think we need to have conversations in every city, but it has to involve diverse communities. And you will find that minority ethnic communities are also worried about immigration. I did a survey last June and just during the elections to find out from Muslim women, what are you concerned about? 1/3 said immigration. But they are not saying it at the moment because the debate has become so toxic. It's no longer about the people coming over on boats. It's now become about actually, if you are of a particular appearance and skin colour, you don't belong here. You know, we want our country back, you don't belong here. That's also aimed at people like me.
We will put all of those points to Baroness Jackie Smith, who is the Minister on the programme this morning. He's going to talk to us in just a couple of minutes. Thank you both very much indeed. A Home Office spokesperson said the government is committed to protecting religious communities. It includes giving police more powers to better protect places of worship from intimidatory protests and providing nearly £50 million a year in protective security funding for faith communities.